boys and girls, brothers and sisters, and everyone listening on the World Wide Web and beyond. This is The Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of The Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I am your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Wednesday, August 12th, 2015 edition of the broadcast, and we're so glad you could be with us tonight. We've got a whole raft of news and information to get into with you here, so it should be interesting. We'll cover all the stuff we didn't cover last night. And I like to do that occasionally. You know, it's good. It's nice to kind of break the monotony and break the routine sometimes and do something different than what you have planned. You know, I don't like things to get stagnant. And sometimes I feel like when I, have to get up here and just do the news night in, night out that, sometimes I feel like I get on a sort of train of thought and like to run with it. So that's what I did last night. So tonight, we will get into some proper news, as it were, for you. Lots of interesting and strange things to discuss here on the show tonight, as per usual. So we're glad you could be with us. TheGlobalReality.com is my website where this broadcast originates from, TheGlobalReality.com. We are streaming the show live on the Shoutcast stream, and we're also broadcasting through our archives, the podcast, multiple ways to listen. We also occasionally post shows to YouTube. I'm going to try to do like one YouTube show a week. Hopefully, eventually, people that listen to the YouTube videos will start to realize that we have a whole network of their shows more than just what they hear on YouTube. I still can't get people to realize and understand that, even though I've told them, but oh well. Selective listening, I suppose. Yeah, lots of interesting stories here tonight. Hope you all are well. Get yourself a cold drink, strap in, turn the AC down, and get ready for some info tonight. We are going to extend our special that we're having. If you didn't hear about it yesterday, it was going to end. It was going to be 24 hours. We'll do it for another 24 hours. We'll do it till tomorrow's show. You can go subscribe to a one-year membership at our website for our members archives. It's $80 for a year, but right now for 24 hours, now 48 hours, we're going to have a special where you'll get 15 months for the price of 12 when you buy a membership, and you'll get a free download from our download store, so you can't beat that. It's a great deal. Go get yourself one of those because it's a slamming deal for you to stay updated and good on the show for the next 15 months. If you get a subscription now, hey, you won't have to get another one until November 2016. So maybe even if you already have one, you can add to what you already have, and it's a good deal. You know, you get 15 months for the price of 12, plus a free download. So you could get anything in our download store. You get to choose, and I'll send it to you. So there you go. I wanted to let people know about that since we did that last night. Maybe people didn't hear last night's show, so we'll give everybody one more chance to get in on that deal. It's a great deal. 15 months of Global Reality high quality archives, $80 and a free download. There you go. Well over into the $100 range of value for you for only $80. So go there and subscribe today. Also, if you check out our Facebook page, if you're a Facebooker, we have a brand new Facebook page for the show, and you'll find links to that one on our old Facebook page. And this is a new one. We're going to be kind of phasing the other one out and trying to move everybody over there, so I'm going to be giving people time. I'll still be posting to the old one for the time being, just to give people, enough time to get transferred over to the new one that we're going to be doing, that we have up now. Because I realized weren't reaching as many people as we could be reaching, because the old one just said the Global Reality Radio Network. So when people were going and doing a search for me or for my work on Facebook, trying to find how to keep up with my information, they weren't finding the Global Reality Radio Network page because it doesn't have my name on it. They were finding my personal page, thinking that was how they could keep up with me. And now I started realizing I had hundreds of requests on my personal page, and I realized, damn, those people are people who want to get in touch with me because they sent me messages. And so those people who want to keep up with what I'm doing. So we started that new page, and we'd like you to go over there and, well, like it, as it were. And that's where we'll be posting stuff. Right now, I'll be double posting, so a lot of the stuff you see on the Global Reality page, you'll also see on that page, just so that we can reach everybody until, again, we get everybody transferred over to using the new page. So just a friendly public service reminder there for you pertaining to getting our stuff out there. And please continue to spread the word and let people know about our documentaries and all the films that I've made and all the films that I'm going to make and everything else. So we've got everything up there at the Facebook page. Also, please go check out our Spellcasters pre-release fundraiser. This is really a short fundraiser. We were going to have a short amount of time to do this because I'm getting close to having the film done, and we need to raise this budget to be able to complete the Spellcasters Volume 1. Yeah, go there and go check that out. Spellcasters pre-release fundraiser. You can find that on our Global Reality Facebook page. If you cannot find it, send me a message, globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and I will send you the link to that so you can get in on that. We need somebody to pop the cherry. That's what we need. Hasn't had its cherry popped yet. We need somebody to pop the cherry of this fundraiser, the Spellcasters pre-release fund. Pop its cherry. Be the cherry popper. You can do it. I know we got some cherry poppers out there. And don't do it weak either. Do it good. If you're going to pop the cherry, don't pop the cherry with $1. Otherwise, we're just going to assume you have small equipment. Because you can't pop a cherry with $1. Come on, dude. Maybe a little bit more than that. Give me $5. No, come on. I mean, we're going to start. We're just going to measure your. We're going to measure your penis size by the size of your cherry popping abilities for this fundraiser. Yes, time to size them up, boys. Fucking, let's. Oh shit, ladies, you're out unless you want to, compare clam sizes, and I don't really suggest that. So you don't have to participate, ladies. This is strictly for the gentlemen here. But let's see some cherry popping daddies step up to the plate here, and see who can pop this cherry. And the first person to pop the cherry in a significant way will get an additional extra awesome prize from me personally, in addition to whatever you get for your perk amounts there. $100 get you a free download of the film and your name in the special thanks credits. $500 gets a DVD and Blu-ray of the film and a download when it comes out, and your name in the co-producers credits. $1,000 or more, DVD, Blu-ray, film, signed, download, name the co-executive producer credits, and they're also going to have some additional secret surprises that are not listed there. So if you come in at the $500 and $1,000 amount, you'll get another secret surprise on top of that. Anyway, there it is. Let's see some cherry popping going on. We need somebody to come in and get the thing started. Usually that's how it works. If you the most important thing when you're having one of these a fundraiser like this is to get some people in there initially, because if you get a few people that contribute, it's easier to get the ball rolling. People see people are contributing, they're like, okay, well, there's this much to go, so I'll contribute too. But if we don't have any cherry popping going on, then no ball starts rolling and people don't start helping us reach the goal. So there's your mission. Get to it. Pop that cherry. Hey, if you're a lady and you pop the cherry, I'll give you your credit and your extra surprise too, and you won't have to be judged in any clam contests or anything. So how about that? That's what I think is going to be funny. Be funny if it's a lady that comes through and does it. And boy, if she does, I'll make sure we shame all the gentlemen. Will that be something? Because we have a great female listening audience. We always have. I don't know why. From the very beginning, though, we've always had some amazing, awesome women who listen to my show, and I salute all you women out there. Women are great, and they're we couldn't do anything without. We really, we tease ourselves that we're in charge, but really we know they're running the whole show. Always have been. But yes, ladies, I salute you. And I really, it's honestly true. Really, these kind of shows and stuff that like this doesn't really have that large of a female audience, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm also grateful for the not that color or race or any of that stuff matters, but I'm grateful that we have listeners of all races and colors to my show. I love that more than anything. That's the best thing to me, because if you don't realize and haven't come to realize that truth and this knowledge and all this stuff defies all racial or ethnic backgrounds or anything else, you are not really, I think, the type of person needs to be looking into this stuff. Because this is about humans, all of us. Doesn't matter what color you are, where you come from, what language you speak, man. This is stuff that affects every one of us. And when you don't start operating from that standpoint, we're going to have no chance. We'll pack it up now. So I'm really grateful for that. I feel really just, lucky that I have such a great female audience and a great multi-mixed audience, because a lot of these shows, man, it's like audience 95% white male, which is fine. That's, if that's your audience, hey, I'm grateful to have any audience. But I do think it's great. I think it says something about the type of work that I've been doing and I'm trying to do here, that we are able to reach such a varied and eclectic mix of people. And I think that, again, that's significant, man. It really is. Because a lot of these shows, people, a lot of women ain't tuning into some of these shows. You know what I mean? Some of these guys, women are just they're not tuning into it. But luckily for me, we have an amazing female audience. I've met a lot of ladies that are fans. It's great. It's really awesome to know, because I've never really expected that. Never really cared, but it is a cool thing. So I do think it would be funny though. Oh, some lady shamed the dudes on the cherry pop, and the cherry got popped by another lady. Oh, snap. Well, we'll see what happens. Dudes can get their cherry pop too, so goes both ways. All right. Oh, one more thing. No, never mind. I'm not going to bring it up. I'll forget it. I talked about that stuff enough last night. I'm not going to get back there. Let's get into the news. Lizard man emerges from South Carolina swamp. Well, goddamn, ain't that a way to kick the show off? Talk about popping the cherry. Let's pop the show cherry with a fucking lizard man story. Here we go. Huffington Post, too. This is not Tinfoil Times or the, padded room press. A woman left a church in Bishopville, South Carolina on Sunday and was understandably startled at the sight of someone or something running in front of some trees. The shock lasted long enough for her to get a grip on her senses, as well as her phone, to snap a picture of what looks like to be a fast-moving lizard man. To be more precise, it looked like something you might see on the Sci-Fi Channel at 3 a.m. when you see the cheapest in science fiction theater. In a skeptical world where people complain about supposed photos of Bigfoot or Sasquatch always being blurry, the picture above seems to suggest that lizard-like creatures don't mind having their pictures taken. I mean, dude, come on. Really? I saw this picture. I saw... Oh, man, I can't even talk. Oh, shit. I saw this picture, and I thought it was at the top of this article. You know how they do in these articles sometimes. They can't get the source image, or they can't license it, they can't get it, or whatever. So they'll take, some picture, stock picture or something. So I thought that's what this was. Dude, come on. This is some dude in a suit. I mean... It ain't even fucking... This is an elaborate hoax. Not even elaborate. This is just a fucking, this is a lizard man suit, dude. Come on. I thought that was just some fake picture. I didn't know this was the one they were actually purporting to be real. Why is the Huffington Post reporting on lizard men? Hey, I'm not saying there wouldn't be something to it, but I'm not saying there isn't probably something like this out there in the world. Sure, I mean, at this point, I'm sure there's probably lizard men in swamps somewhere. No doubt about it. We know crazier shit than that exists. So, lizard men in swamps. But that, in that picture, being a lizard man, a real lizard man crawl from a swamp, no, man, I don't think so. That's a dude in a suit. That's a dude in a suit. There's just no, you can just clearly see that's a dude in a suit. The woman who took the photograph, identified only as Sarah from Sumter, South Carolina, contacted ABC News 4, WCIV TV in Mount Pleasant. These motherfuckers. They're trolling the news. That's what this is. This is a fucking trolling. If I can smell a trolling from a mile away, I tell you what, every time. Somebody's getting trolled. Oh, dude. This is epic. It's epic just strictly because they bought it. They must not have much to do down there at News 4 WCIV TV in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Somebody calls about a lizard man. They're like, we're on it. We'll send a team down there immediately. Jesus Christ. They must be reporting on paint drying the rest of the time. My hand to God, I'm not making this up. So excited, she wrote to the station, explaining how she and a friend saw the lizard man near the Scape Ore swamp. Nearly 30 years of lizard man sightings have surfaced from the Bishopville Scape Ore swamp area. The first report can be traced to 1988 when a young man stopped his car on a road near the swamp to change a flat tire in the middle of the night, later claiming he had been chased by the creature. Eyewitnesses have described a 7-foot-tall human-like being with green, scaly skin, 3-toed feet, and hands, according to AnimalPlanet.com. The reports also include glowing red eyes like the one seen in the lizard man picture at the top of this story. Ain't glowing red eyes, motherfucker. That's red paint. I know what red paint looks like. Give me a break, red glowing eyes. Y'all motherfuckers could have put some red LEDs or some shit in there and made that fucking lizard man suit, look a little bit more believable. You need to have like LEDs and shit up in there, and glowing and shit, not some red paint. Come on now, this ain't even a good fake job. A 2012 episode of the sci-fi series Fact or Faked Paranormal Files focused on South Carolina's lizard man legend. The investigative team, led by former FBI Special Agent Ben Hansen, went deep into the forest near Bishopville and emerged with the following video. There was scant evidence out there of his existence, so we filmed what I call an ethical hoax as kind of a social experiment. The whole idea was to see how much buzz we could generate on social media and online just by having a really vague video showing a figure walking through the dark forest. And that's exactly what this is yet again. They do this all the time. They're trying to test. This is how they test the public's believability factor. So they can pull off massive hoaxes that they try to use to help serve their agenda. And this is how they do it. They do stuff like this, see how many people they can get, use social media to see how many people they can get to believe it's real, what kind of arguments they can get people to get into. It really is data mining. This is an example of somebody pulling off a hoax by leaving nothing for the imagination. I wouldn't be surprised when we see such blatant hoaxes like this come out that are direct publicity stunts for tourism. Absolutely. It's like a paparazzi photo of a celebrity walking down the street, yet this looks like Godzilla in a latex suit. That's exactly what it looks like. HuffPost is quite familiar with lizard individuals. One in particular, Eric Sprague. Oh, that's that lizard man guy. Yeah, well, there's no need to talk about him. That motherfucker just body modified himself. Give me a break. He didn't crawl out of a damn swamp in North Carolina naturally like that. This is absolutely a publicity stunt. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's why stuff like this is detrimental. Because And I think to a certain extent, a lot of this is done with that exact intent in mind. Not in every case. Certainly in probably cases like this, of course, you're going to have, these little backwater towns, man. They're not doing too good these days. The economy, it's not a lot of jobs around those outskirts towns, so they rely on tourism. A lot of these places. I've been in a ton of these places all over the country. I mean, traveling all over, making these films, folks. I've seen so many of these places. Meteor craters. Those are some of the biggest ones. We went to the one in Arizona. Jesus Christ, man! It was like as much as it cost to go to a fucking major amusement like Disney World or something to go and see. Like, fuck. I think it was like $90 for me and two people to go into this thing. What in the hell, dude? Do we get to fucking land, go to a rocket in the moon and come back for this much? Jesus. Like $30 a piece to walk in here and see a fucking meteor crater outside and walk to this little gift shop where they try to fucking get you to buy shit in there too. So that kind of stuff is always going to be there. And of course, people are, now because the stuff's more popular than it ever has been. I see it a lot. I tell you what, if I was one of these cryptozoological guys, and I'm really not that I don't believe that there's something to it, I absolutely do, but I don't consider myself to be one of those cryptozoological people. No offense to you if you are, that's your area of focus. Hey, go get it. Do it. But, boy, if I was, I could be making a lot of money. There's a lot of money in that shit, man. And I know this because I've been invited to several of these events that I've done now over the past couple of years where they invite me out to speak, but I'm a little out of place there. But I'll take it. If somebody invites me to come to their event, I'll do it, whatever. But I just feel a little out of place because most of the people there are into, this kind of shit. There's tons of Bigfoot hunters out there now. There's so many around here. And a lot. What we have around here in Dallas is we don't have any sort of anybody doing like any kind of stuff like what I do. There's nobody here that's trying to do this stuff. We had the 9/11 group I started way back when is still going. I don't know why. Those guys will probably do it forever because they can't focus on anything else except 9/11. They're just hung up on that and that hamster wheel and can't get past it. And it's sad to see. But what we have around here is a lot of paranormal investigators. We have everybody around here is a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter. And I'm just not down with that shit, man. I'm just not. There's just a scent and odor of snake oil attached to it to me. Do you get that? Look, I believe in spirits and ghosts and all that stuff, but some of these people that I see doing this, man, they just, they kind of seem like hucksters. So it makes total sense that somebody would do this now that would, dress up in a lizard outfit and try to get people to come to their town and look for this thing and brings in money for the restaurants and the hotels. I don't blame them for doing it, but this is a terrible fucking hoax, an elaborate hoax. But getting back to what I mentioned earlier about why this is detrimental and what it's detrimental to is that there is definite evidence that supports cryptozoological creatures and creatures that cannot, and for that matter, will not be explained by science. And there's a lot of things, for some reason, about the certain elements of the animal world they still want to keep us in the dark about. Now, whether that has to do with stuff that would reveal things about our own evolution or our own creation, that's up for debate. But I do believe there actually is something to a lot of these sightings of these what appear to be some kind of ancient human ancestor. These, like what do you call them, Sasquatch or Yetis or Bigfoots or whatever, because there always seem to appear around locations like Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, where they have the Kentucky Dog Man, and also at Mount Shasta, where they see everything from Yetis to Bigfoots to Count of Saint Germain. He was seen there. So the fact that a lot of these sightings take places around locations that are said to house entrances into the inside of the earth, I think that they definitely warrant looking into, but I think science and the powers that be have a very vested interest in perpetuating the hoax and the myth of these things and not telling us the truth about these things, because something about these creatures and us having a knowledge of them would open up all sorts of big questions about humans and where we come from and the rest of it. So that's one of the reasons why I think that they try to muddy the waters with these phony stories and get a lot of people thinking there's nothing to it and it's just fiction, and people who believe this stuff just make it up and there's no such thing, and most of the time it's just a guy in a suit, and it's ramping up more and more. Now, whether that's because, as some people believe, it's ramping up, there are some people in those communities that believe the reason why we're seeing so many of these fakes and an influx of these fakes as of late has to do with the fact that changes within the earth or something are going to cause these creatures to come out of the inside of the earth in large numbers at some point, and we're going to have to fight them off. There are people who believe that. I mean, and I think it's plausible. It's I'm not saying it's true or 100% fact, but I'd say that's plausible. But there have been sightings of unexplained animal creatures. I mean, look at this stuff that I think there was one recently that was caught. Some of the stuff that's been caught by some of the missions in space around the space stations and whatnot. I've talked about these before. These strange-looking, what appear to be, not UFOs, but like actual creatures. There was a recent story about one that was seen near one of the space stations or something. But if you've never seen the tether incident, watch that video. Go to YouTube and type NASA tether incident. And you'll see these things. This is from an actual NASA tether thing where these creatures that are just swimming through space like space is water. These are not crafts or UFOs. These are almost like organic creatures. Which would lead us to believe that maybe what we've been told about space and it being a vacuum and stuff may not actually necessarily be true. So I definitely think that while there is a lot of disinfo, while there is a lot of poisoning the well, while there are a lot of hucksters and whatnot connected to some of the cryptozoological topics, I still think it's a valid topic in terms of the grand scope. Now, I don't think it warrants all the attention it gets with getting, there's whole festivals dedicated to these things. Nobody ever wants to have, a festival about, secret societies or, secret society research or, lost secrets research, whatever it may be. But boy, slap paranormal festival on something, man, people are clamoring to come out to them. And I'm grateful I get invited to some of this stuff. It's good to be, asked to come to some of these things, and it's good to. Sometimes people are interested in what I do, not all the time. We get some, but I'd much rather be at a UFO conference or a conspiracy conference or something like that, which I've never been able to do. So that would be cool to do at some point. Let's see what else we got here. Archaeologists discovered Neolithic bling at gigantic stone circle. I don't think I've ever seen the street term for jewelry be used in a scientific archaeological article before. Bling bling, motherfucker. Archaeologists have discovered a monument from Stone Age Britain that makes Stonehenge look small. The ancient henge, Martin Henge, is 10 times bigger than Stonehenge, with walls that stand 10 feet high and enclose nearly 40 acres of land. For all the attention that has been lavished on Stonehenge over the years, we may well find out that Martin was where it was really at during the Neolithic. Jim Leary, director of the Archaeology Field School at the University of Reading, told National Geographic. Archaeologists are unearthing a treasure trove of artifacts from the massive 4,500-year-old monument, including intricately crafted arrowheads, a skeleton buried with an amber necklace, an early Bronze Age burial, and a rare stone building that rests in the center of the henge. Unfortunately, Martin Henge's true purpose remains much of a mystery as Stonehenge's. Judging by the remains of the numerous pigs and fire pit, archaeologists assume that it seems to be the scene of feasting on a lavish scale. National Geographic reports one theory is that the site was a place where initiates or celebrants were cleansed before participating in ceremonies. Another explanation is that the henge was a smokehouse where hogs were prepared for feast. Also, an ancient slop house, ancient barbecue pit. Jesus Christ, a Bronze Age barbecue pit. Oh, these motherfuckers were using wet wipes back in, too. Christ, look over here. He's eating in some ribs and all kinds of stuff. Look, oh, hell. He's having him barbecue. I love how they always try to give these fucking innocuous bullshit explanations. Obviously, it was probably, the first explanation, something closer to like a ceremonial thing or something like that. But, oh, hell, I think there's just barbecuing over here. I always try to give these probably nonsensical explanations to things just so they can get people to go, oh, okay, well, whatever you say, I'll believe it. Well, why challenge it? And then they could just cover up something that's important that they don't want to be out there to people. We always have to challenge these things and not take these things for what they tell us to be, especially when it's something ridiculous like that. Oh, yeah, I think they were just slaughtering some pigs over here. If they was just some site where they were slaughtering pigs, they would have known that before they got that far into the excavation and started finding, the amber jewelry and all those kind of telltale things that are indicative of a more sophisticated society than they want us to believe was there. That's the real point. So first they tell us, because here's the thing. They found animal slaughter things, animal slaughter locations and whatnot, and usually it's just piles of bones. Piles and piles and piles, but they didn't say there were piles and piles of bones. There were some, but there were ornate things there as well. So again, read between the lines. It's obvious that was something, who knows what, but obviously something more than just a fucking barbecue pit. Give me a break. All right, what else? Ancient Hebrew inscriptions baffle Israeli archaeologists from BBC. The writing found on the walls of a room containing the remains of a Jewish ritual bath or mikvah are believed to be about 2,000 years old. Experts are now trying to decipher words and symbols, including a boat and palm trees. They say markings may have been graffiti or some religious experience. Now, I love how they always try to do that as well. You see these ancient cave paintings and stuff like you see in Utah, Sego Canyon, where I went last year, actually. I got to go see a lot of those. I always wanted to see the alien petroglyphs from Sego Canyon, and I got to go do that last year. Eventually, when we have a budget to finish Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 3, all that footage and those pictures and all that stuff will be in there. And I'll cover that, and I'll show how it connects to a very interesting thing. It's another one of those things I don't want to give away yet because I don't want people taking my research. But I've found something very significant. All the ancient sites. I'll give you this. I'll give you one little tidbit that I've discovered. And eventually, this will be in Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 3 if I ever get the money to finish it. But until then, I won't be putting this out there anywhere else. And I'm only going to say this, and this is all I'm going to say about it. All of the ancient sites in the United States, all the stuff that I've covered and all the ones I haven't covered, they all point to one particular direction, towards a particular thing that's located in one particular area of the country. And it's huge. It's huge. Huge. But they try to do that with these stuff. So, this is just graffiti. Yes, they were just drawing these alien-looking creatures because they were trying to depict their spirits and gods, and this is just graffiti. Right, graffiti. That's why they used techniques and whatnot that would allow these things to survive thousands of years. A lot of these petroglyphs in Utah are pre-flood, folks. Some of them are right at the edge of when the flood happened, almost right directly afterwards. They tell you when you go there to Seagull Canyon on the little signs and stuff, it's way out in the middle of fucking nowhere, Utah. It's a trek. Let me tell you, it's a trek. There's not much out there. And if you see a gas station, I don't give a fuck how much gas you got. Stop and fill up. Doesn't matter if you got 3/4 of a tank or whatever. Stop and fill up, because there are spots you'll go for 150 miles and not see a gas station. But there's on the signage there at Sego Canyon, it talked about the ones that you can see that are in red are like 9,000 years old, and some of the ones that are behind those, there's other petroglyphs. They put petroglyphs on top of petroglyphs, and there's some that are even carved into the stone, and those are so old they won't even venture a guess as to how old they are. They don't want to speculate. The ones they'll admit to are that you can still see clearly today are 9,000 years old. The other ones are so old they won't even speculate on how old they are, and it says that all the time. So, yeah. And these things are huge. That's what got me about it. When you see them in pictures and stuff, when you see the stuff in Sego Canyon, you see the pictures, it doesn't do it justice. Because I don't think they were just little small things. And there's a picture, it's on our Global Reality Facebook page, you can see of me, and I'm standing in front of some of these. And you can see from the scale of me, I'm a big guy, and these things they're towering over, they're huge. That's what blew me away about these things. And that's when I realized, wait a minute. This is not just random scribbling of graffiti or, gods. These things are drawn to scale. Whatever these things were, they were huge. And you could tell that because the way that they'll draw like, 6 or something in a row, and they'll be proportionate. Like some will be, they're doing like height proportions on these things. You can tell where they showed some are shorter, some are taller, but they're all very huge, very big, menacing, ominous. And you really get the impression that there was somebody from somewhere else there. And when you travel around all those places and you see all the stuff that's out there, and not just in Utah, but in all the states surrounding it, New Mexico, the whole Four Corners area, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, and you notice that all these sites, you understand all these sites were one interconnected site. We see divisions and borders and counties and states and all that stuff in our eyes today, so we see separation, but we don't realize that these sites were connected over hundreds of miles to each other and all had something to do and were built for one specific purpose, to work in tandem together. And that's been one of the interesting things about going out and going to these sites myself, has been discovering that. So, they're always going to try and downplay some of this stuff. Oh, it's just graffiti. I tell you, they really are going full tilt on uncovering stuff in the ancient Amorite lands, especially around where the giants are said to have come from. We talked about they unearthed the the Goliath Gate and all that stuff. It seems like, maybe I'm just noticing it more since I covered that stuff in Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 1. But, I've been going to the same news sites and covering the same stuff for years. And I'm telling you, a few years ago, even before I made Lost Secrets 1, they weren't covering this stuff a lot in the media. Not a lot of this stuff was coming out like it is now. And it seems like it's just rampantly coming out now. And I think that's a part of, again, the continued cover-up. They want to get into these ancient sites, specifically in the ones in the Middle East. They want to go in, they want to get all of the antiquities and all the evidence and gather it up and put it in their storehouses so it can't get out to the public, so that we can analyze it, do independent investigation, and start piecing together the real narrative and events of history instead of the ones they program us with and give us in science and history and religion and everything else. Located on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee, known as Lake Kinneret in Israel, is the site of an ancient Jewish village identified as Magdala. It is currently undergoing intensive investigation and excavation by a team of archaeologists. What they are finding promises to shed new light on a pivotal time and place in both Jewish and Christian history, in a region that hosted the simple, peaceful lives of quiet Jewish communities. Right. You mean the quiet, peaceful Jewish communities that came in and slaughtered the Amorites and took over all their lands and took over even their traditions, lock, stock, and barrel? Their religion and their beliefs are co-opted. they co-opted them after the defeat of the Amorites. That's why the Jewish Talmud, that's the basis of Judaism, actually its proper name is the Babylonian Talmud, because it goes back to the religion of the Babylonians. So again, yet another example of this really just a taking over of an already pre-existing system and then it being associated with as being started or created by a group that it wasn't created or started by. It was just taken over and absorbed by them from a people that they defeated in, in a bloody massacre. So again, it is fascinating though, that all this stuff's being found now, and it does seem that now the powers that be are starting to understand what I've been on to for quite some time, and that is that these ancient sites hold the keys. They hold the keys to unlocking the secrets and more appropriately, the explanation to the lies we've been told about history. This is another mind-blowing one, and I can't help but think that this has to do with the same people I've been on to, these Amorites. The Amorites were in the Mediterranean. The Amorites were all over Crete, where the Antikythera mechanism was found, this ancient clockwork system of gears that predates any clockwork device we had by many, many years. And of course, we know that the Amorites were obelisk builders. That's what they were known for. They were known for building obelisks. They were phallic worshipping obelisk builders. That's what Amorites were. That's why you see obelisks and whatnot today. They were there long before the Egyptians. The Egyptians just took that over because the Egyptians came from them as well. That's why you see all these depictions of these Egyptian pharaohs and whatnot, and they're so big. Why do you think you look at like stuff at the Temple of Hathor at Dendera in Egypt, and these depictions of these Egyptian gods are big? Now, we're told that's just because they were revealed as gods and they were built big to... No. Now, again, these were built to scale. These are built to show how big these people are. And you can even see that inside the Temple of Hathor at Dendera. There's depictions of what look like giant pharaohs who are working side by side with smaller, regular-sized humans. The whole giant thing, man, has been there's. I'm telling you, they have a lot vested in covering that thing up. They really, really don't want that truth of that coming out, and you have to ask yourself why. And the only real explanation to it is they know, again, those are the people that had a hand in creating man, and you get into the area of, were those gods, did they give us what we think is religion? Are they actually our God's people? We don't want to have that conversation. And the elite sure as fuck don't want us having that conversation. True or not. They don't even want the conversation to even be milled over. They just don't want it to be washed away. That's why so many thousands of giant bones have been swept off and taken off to the Smithsonian, never to be seen again. Archaeologists discovered giant prehistoric monolith at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. Archaeologists have uncovered a 10,000-year-old man-made monolith that they believe is the evidence of a prehistoric civilization. The rock monument's colossal size, 12 meters or about 39 feet in height, suggests that quite a few people would have been needed to move it. Something that would have been difficult as previously suspected, the inhabitants had been hunter-gatherers living relatively solitary lifestyles. Hunter-gatherers with solitary lifestyles don't cut, quarry, and erect 39-foot obelisks or monoliths or whatever it may be. Okay? So obviously you're dealing with something that wasn't hunter-gatherers living solitary lifestyles. If you haven't heard my newest audiobook, the Our Story of Atlantis book, Internal Secret Society Annals on Atlantis, you really have to get that audiobook and hear it. There's some vital key information in there. Part of that is this thing that talks about how these walls of the temples and these walls of Atlantis defied what we can do and define what we can do in our modern day with construction because they were not built utilizing traditional construction methods. They were erected using the power of mind over matter by these high-level magis that were in charge of Atlantis. And it's crazy because that was one of my theories that I started putting together about the rock wall after a while, after looking at it for so long, thinking about, how could this have been built? What it would have taken to separate all that material from its host rock and then mix it all together in a conglomerate stone that doesn't naturally occur. For that to have been done by physical labor seems almost impossible. It almost needed some sort of, magic, or somebody who had mental control over material objects, or mind over matter itself, right down to the subatomic level. Because that's the thing about these rock wall stones. With tourmaline, it grows naturally on quartz. It only occurs, ladies and gentlemen, it only forms by forming on top of another type of rock, like quartz. It doesn't form in crushed up particles in with a bunch of other stuff like garnet and zircon and starlight and titanite and brookite and niobium, which also only comes from another extracted element called columbite. These elements don't exist on their own out in nature without being attached to a host rock. So the only way they could be in a stone that's a conglomerate of these materials would be to be separated from the host rock they grow on. That's the only way they can form. And of course, American Earth was never going to tell you that. So that's what got me thinking, God, maybe that's how this was done. Maybe that's why you can't explain the fact that it has all these, sophisticated engineering things put into it, but with techniques that defy, it would take decades, centuries. It would take centuries to separate that much rock, and especially some of those elements being as rare as they are, and them only coming in small, like tourmaline and stuff. When it forms in very small pieces. If you find a big chunk that's more than 2 or 3 inches in size, especially if it's a colored variety, it's worth thousands of dollars because there's just not that many of them. But somehow in this rock wall, there's all this tourmaline that was separated from its quartz matrix and then ground up into this conglomerate stone. And of course, there would have had to have been all this leftover quartz after they extracted all these minerals from it. Boom. That explains why when the analysis was done on the mortar substance found between the stones of the rock wall, it was determined to be what they call a geopolymer, which was a type of mortar that was made of 3 different types of quartz crystals that were found in different locations. All 3 were from different locations. So the analysis showed conclusively that the mortar had been ground up and combined from different types of quartz. So there you go. There's how we know what they did with all the leftover quartz they would have had. And it makes this airtight, watertight seal. And that also, by proxy, is what negates the History Channel's conclusion that the paleomagnetic dating shows the rock wall as a natural formation. Because they don't bother to tell the viewer that anything with that much quartz in it can't be properly paleomagnetic dated, because quartz will always give you the result that they gave on that show. Always. So paleomagnetic dating is not accurate if quartz is in the vicinity. And seeing as the rock wall's entire mortar structure of all the stones is made from this geopolymer mortar made from 3 different types of quartz, any paleomagnetic dating done on the raw is going to be inconclusive. It's going to be wrong. Because it will always tell you, and it will always flow that certain way, the way that they showed it flowing on that rock wall episode, if quartz is there. That's why they never told you what was in the stones, and they only said, I think it's some kind of limestone. Because then all you have to do is go look up the fact that quartz can't be properly paleomagnetic dated. It's a scientific fact. They didn't bother telling you that. Magnetism generated in non-magnetic metals. Yet again, that's another very interesting thing about the rock wall as well. It's got a magnetic signature A magnetic field signature that's greater than the magnetic field of the entire Earth. And the Earth is prime magnetizer. Yet yet it doesn't actually attract metal filings when you like a regular magnet does. It's a completely different type of magnetism. And again, it's something that's completely unexplained by science. I think this article really indicates something we're just now finding out that whoever built the rock wall already knew. Magnetism generated in non-magnetic metals. By subtly altering certain quantum interactions in matter, again, by subtly altering certain quantum interactions in matter, the manipulation of matter, alteration of matter. There it is again. So obviously whoever built the wall knew something about that. By subtly altering certain quantum interactions in matter, scientists from the University of Leeds have shown for the very first time how to generate magnetism in metals that aren't normally magnetic. Synthetic magnets made using this technique may one day reduce our reliance on rare or toxic metals and such things as wind turbines, computer hard drives, and magnetic field medical imaging devices. Being able to generate magnetism in materials that are not naturally magnetic opens up new paths to devices that are abundant and hazardless elements, such as carbon and copper. And again, with the rock wall, you've got this thing that, it responds to low-frequency vibrations. When low-frequency sound is applied to it, it starts to vibrate and shake and roar and produce sound and electricity. So if you're producing a current, you're producing electricity, it's activated by low-frequency sound waves, and it also produces magnetism without attracting things like a magnet. I mean, that to me sounds like some kind of launching pad. Maybe some giant mothership maybe this wall was designed to withstand the load of an entire giant mothership on it and used to launch it off or something. It's very plausible because it produces a large amount of energy, and it's built to withstand huge, heavy loads on it for long periods of time. I think it's possible it could have been, doubled as a building and possibly a launching pad. And maybe it was some kind of spaceport. Let's see what else we have. Really? Are we already talking about this? Are we already to that point? Let's get some fucking cool robots in here first, and then we'll start having the discussion about whether or not we should be able to marry robots. Are you serious? Boy, they don't move slow these days, do they? They just got their gay marriage passed finally, didn't they? Now they want to start having, that wasn't good enough. Now we're going to have to start having a discussion on whether or not humans should have the right to marry robots. I think you should have the right to marry your fucking right hand if you want to. Fuck it, hitch up to that thing. Ain't ever going to leave you unless it gets cut off. Are we really to that point yet? Next thing you know, it's going to be, oh, I want to marry my sex doll. I should have the right. You are oppressing me. My blow-up doll and I should have the right to have love like everybody else does. You tell that fucking blow-up doll to get a fucking job. Earned income credit, bitch. Get out there and earn it, ho. The Supreme Court's recent 5-4 decision in Obergefell versus Hodges legalizing same-sex marriage across the United States has already spawned speculation about what will be next in expanding marital rights. As the Supreme Court noted, the history of marriage is one of both continuity and change. That institution has evolved over time. Interracial marriage, equality between husband and wife, and same-sex marriage were all excluded for long periods of time under our Constitution, but now have been sanctioned and protected by the courts. While these changes have come slowly and courts are unlikely to take the next step in expanding marital rights for some time, the courts are probably not finished expanding the legal definition of marital rights. A New York Times op-ed published shortly after the Supreme Court same-sex decision said that the court's logic would eventually lead to the recognition of polygamy or plural marriages, an argument also made by Chief Justice John Roberts in his dissenting opinion. The slippery slope argument has also been used to contend that the court's decision will open the door to legal recognition of bestiality or incest. Oh, sure, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. I mean, at this point, folks, the way they're going with this Marxist politically correct bullshit. Oh, it's my right. If I want to fuck a sheep, I can fuck a sheep, goddammit. I want to fuck my dog or fuck my cousin, goddamn, you better let me. Who are you to judge my love? Who I love? You can't mandate and decide who I love. If I love my hen, my sheep, my dog, my cat, my cousin, shit. Don't judge my love, or I'll put a rainbow motherfucking flag with a sheep getting fucked in the ass on it as my Facebook profile pic. How about that? Hell yeah. I'll put a rainbow picture of me with my dick in my cousin's ass as my Facebook picture and say that you are oppressing my rights as a human to love who I want to love. How about it? I mean, it's coming, right? Pretty soon NAMBLA's going to be out there going, we want our rights to fuck 10-year-old boys in the ass. Who are you to decide who we love? Yeah. Well, fuck it. Let's just go all out. I mean, why stop there? Seriously, I think they should. Go fuck it. Why, why stop there? Why stop at just gay marriage? Somebody wants to get married to their fucking, to a chicken and fuck it in the ass, by God, let them. Oh, God, I can't even believe this is a topic of discussion in our society. You want to talk about de-evolution? Jesus. The fact that we're even discussing this shows how far we've devolved. Robot-human marriages might be next on the list. Probably not soon, admittedly, but it nevertheless will be an inevitable part of our future. Indeed, some critics of same-sex marriages, including some conservative Christian opponents of gay marriage, have argued that the court's recognition of same-sex marriage would inevitably lead to robotic human marriages. I mean, it's going to come. It's just going to be eventually. I mean, again, that's why it doesn't make any sense to have. I don't know. What does it matter if somebody wants to fuck a chicken or fuck a dog? I mean, just making laws against this stuff is what makes people want to do this shit. As soon as you tell somebody that something's taboo or not right or not accepted, there is a certain element of human nature that just wants to do it. That's why parents who don't let their kids do anything and keep them sheltered and repressed end up having kids that go on to be drug addicts and fucking bank robbers and all kinds of crazy shit. Parents spend all this time and all this energy sheltering their kids under the, I just want to keep my kids safe. Well, you also have to let go. Because if you don't and you cling and you hold them too tight, they're automatically going to run to the thing, kicking and screaming, running to the thing that you try to keep them from. It's just human nature, man. We're all like that. So this is what causes the want for people, I believe, in my opinion, instead of it just being like, instead of making laws against things, we should really just have a society where we say, look, this, and this, severely frowned upon. Obviously, things like murder and theft and things like that, but as far as like laws against, somebody wanting to fuck a dog, or you should just be one of those things that's like frowned upon, and then, individual people in communities will weed out those type of people by just not allowing them around. But making laws and making taboos and creating these things where you put it in people's mind and let them know, hey, ooh, this is taboo, ooh, this is, it just breeds it happening even more and more. And I think that's while a lot of people, certainly not all, but I think that's why a lot of people got behind the gay marriage thing, and why a lot of people became gay. Not all people. Some people are just flat born gay, but there are people who aren't born gay and then become that way. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, they're being told this is something they can't do. It makes certain people want to do it even that much more. So I don't think laws and stuff like that against these taboos are ever going to help anything. You can have laws all day long. People don't give a fuck about laws. Why should any of us give a fuck about laws, to be honest with you? I don't even know why any of us. Our leaders don't give a fuck about laws. The people that run our countries and our states, these are the most lawless sons of bitches on the face of the fucking planet. Yet we're supposed to be the ones that all follow the rules and do what they tell us to do, yet they don't follow anybody? What kind of logic is that? So when you start mandating to people, don't do this or that, it oftentimes does make it that much. Look at countries where drugs are illegal. Always more crime, always more drug use. You have a country where it's decriminalized and whatnot. Instantly, you start to see addiction rates go down, crime rates go down. If something is not taboo, folks, people lose interest. It's something innate in our human nature that all of us have, but some people are able to repress it and it doesn't come out, and other people, it just naturally comes out that way. Whether they be, addicted to sex, and you have people that are, sex addicts and stuff, and people that are, it's just, we all have this in us, but in some people it's amplified. But as soon as you start making these things taboo and making them illegal, it just perpetuates the problem. It doesn't solve anything. President Obama calls for massive boost in power of supercomputers. I mean, if you haven't been paying attention to all the stuff I've been telling you folks all these years, this story should fucking seal the deal for you. Why is Obama all of a sudden calling for massive boost in power of supercomputers? They know what's coming. And they know that all governments of the world, this world is already ran by an AI supercomputer. And I believe that all our leaders of the world take their orders directly from this thing. That's why you can't ever pinpoint who's at the very tip top of the pyramid. Now they want to up the ante on this. I mean, hell, our supercomputers in the United States have been out of date for a long time. The secretive stuff, the off-the-book stuff is where the power is. But the stuff they have in the open, I mean, the Pentagon has had to farm out, the DOD and stuff has had to farm out work to Walmart. Because Walmart's supercomputer system beats what the DOD has. President Barack Obama issued an executive order at the end of July calling for the creation of a national strategic computing initiative with the goal of building a supercomputer that can deliver 100 times the performance of the current 10 petaflop systems and improving technologies used for data analytics. The order also calls for bettering the high-performance computing ecosystem and ensuring that the benefits of the research and development advances are shared between the United States government and industrial academic sectors. The order follows a long line of public initiatives in which the government has been a catalyst for major technological change. The rise of the early space program and the formation of the internet in the 1960s and 70s are the most obvious examples of the public-private role. More recently, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, has kickstarted the research in self-driving vehicles and other kinds of robotics. The role that's because DARPA, all this stuff is developed, all the stuff they just named, they called it the internet in the 60s and 70s. They didn't want to call it what it was. It was the ARPANET, the DARPANET. That's how the internet started. It was an internal military, it was a communication system that couldn't be tracked or traced at that time by the enemy because nobody else had it. So these right there, that's where the real story is. This isn't President Barack Obama asking for more powerful supercomputers to do good things with it. This is being developed for the use by DARPA, which will then go into use by the military. That's where all these next-gen technological things that the military uses comes from. That's why it's the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. The military gets this stuff first. It gets used by the military first, and then after a period of time, it starts trickling down into the private sector. They've done this for decades. It's nothing new. So they can go on and trying to sell us on this bullshit of, this is just Obama trying to help make things better with better supercomputers. No. The military needs these for the next their next generation warfare systems that are going to include things like super soldiers, exoskeletons, soldiers that are basically almost like automatons, humans in suits that are controlled by almost like a Skynet type of system. That's all coming. That's all coming. They've already been saying they have that technology and have been working on that for many, many years, folks. That's the next generation. They want these supercomputers so they can have humans and exoskeleton soldiers that aren't able to, for themselves, judge. It's the precursor, really, to having a robot army to do it. That's what they're going to have first. Humans in exoskeleton suits that basically are controlled by a massive supercomputer system, and their suits basically operate and are being given orders by these systems. One of the F-35's most expensive features was made possible by flying saucers. Now, this is a hell of an admission that a lot of people, I think, have overlooked. They, in one fell swoop, if you know anything about the history of the early United States government aircraft projects where they were trying, right after Roswell, where they were trying to build their own flying saucers, just like the Nazis were trying to do, so that people would, when people saw these UFOs coming over, they'd think aliens were coming and dropping bombs on their cities instead of, being able to pin it to a particular country. Listen to this, though. This is a huge admission. The U.S. Air Force pushed to develop operational flying saucers 60 years ago, laid the conceptual groundwork for one of the variants of Lockheed Martin's F-35, MIT Technology Review reports. The F-35 comes in 3 variants with key mechanical differences for the Air Force, Marines, and Navy. Of the 3 models, the F-35B is the most technologically different. Unlike the F-35A and F-35C, the Marines needed their variant to be capable of conducting short takeoff and vertical landing operations. This request necessitated that the F-35B be given a lifting fan. And as designer Francie G. Frederigo, Ricardo Gabato, and Alexandra Gabato note in a paper at the Cornell University Library, the F-35B's lifting fan has its conceptual roots in flying saucers. Between 1954 and 1961, the U.S. Air Force spent $10 million attempting to develop a flying saucer that became known as the Avro car. The Avro car was a vertical and or short takeoff and landing saucer that was powered by a giant central fan. Despite its 7 years of development, the Air Force failed to make the Avro car into a mission-capable vehicle that could potentially replace helicopters. Right, but prior to this, they had never had any interest in creating like that. They only started creating these right after 1947, right after Roswell, and the attempt was to start trying to build military technology off of these back-engineered saucer technology. That's what that is. And so now they're taking that same technology and applying it to the new F-35 fighters. Total admission to the use of back-engineered technologies even being used to this day. So did you guys see this a couple of weeks ago, I guess, whenever it was? It's been a few weeks now. When there was the shooting in Louisiana, and it happened at a showing of this movie Trainwreck, starring this lady Amy Schumer. I was starting to wonder why. Whenever you start to see somebody who hasn't been on the scene, all of a sudden, almost literally overnight, they're on every magazine and they're on TV shows and they're in movies. It just seems like, okay, somebody has an agenda behind pushing their career. And I've noticed her over the past several months, and I was like, it seems like somebody's really pushing her career. And then, of course, the shooting happens where at the premiere or whatever, not a premiere, but a showing of this movie starring Amy Schumer. And then you find out she's cousins with Chucky Schumer. I mean, Mr. fucking Jew World Order himself, ladies and gentlemen. And then that movie's caused her career to go through the roof. I mean, this is not an accident. This is the kind of shit I've been talking about with my spellcasters work and stuff, folks. This is a staged operation. They did this together. And then her and Chucky Schumer, her cousin, are on TV. Oh, calling for, we need more gun control. All of a sudden, she's a big star overnight. Shooting happens at a showing of her movie in Louisiana. And then next thing you know, she's on TV with Chucky Schumer calling for gun control. I mean, that's exactly the kind of shit I'm talking about, folks. And now, because she did that, you're going to continue to see her career skyrocket. And they did the same thing a few years ago with the Batman shootings, when they had the shooting, the James Holmes thing in Colorado with the Batman shooting. Christopher Nolan. I said even then when it happened, I said, folks, this is part of this conspiracy. This is part of this Hollywood program. I said, Christopher Nolan will probably go on to, do big things. And of course, he went in to do Interstellar, which went nuts. And if you go read all the reviews and all the stuff that's been said about Interstellar, I mean, I was watching on, well, this is just a fucking Kubrick ripoff. This is like somebody trying to make something that's like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but not nearly as good. And when I watched that movie, I said, well, it's clear to me now, whatever the next NASA fakery event is, or the next, 9/11 fakery thing, what is it? Well, they're going to get, just like they had Stanley Kubrick was their boy that did all that stuff. I believe their new guy, since Kubrick is dead, the new guy that's going to start creating realistic-looking hoaxed events like the fake moon landings is going to be Christopher Nolan. And I think that Batman thing was what brought him along to the next level, because that movie was pure trauma-based mind control. I know there's all kinds of triggers in that movie that if someone is under mind control, MK Ultra, it's going to cause them to snap. You could just see it and feel it. I didn't like that movie at all because it just made me feel icky. I could feel that it was just full of program. I thought the first one he did was good on some of his older movies, but I'm telling you, him, Amy Schumer, you can just smell it. You can see it when these people are being brought up to the ranks when they have these tragic events attached to them, and then over a couple of years later, all of a sudden their careers start to skyrocket after these events. That's all a part of the agenda, folks. All a part of the agenda. No question about it. All right, well, we're going to leave it there tonight. I want to thank everybody for being with us. Please support our work, folks. We are still running on fumes this month, and we need some help. Support our films, support our Global Reality August contribution fund to cover our operating costs. Make a support through there. We have a donate button with a PayPal there. You can get a subscription. You can get stuff from our download page. You can go to our Amazon wishlist page and get some stuff off there for our soundtracks and whatever else we need, computer upgrades, camera upgrades. Just please support us. We're running on fumes here. We can't do this without your help, folks. I implore you to help us today. My name's Josh Reeves. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. Take care.